Hi, my name's Dennis Chau. I'm the son of jailed Australian activist Chau Van Kamp. I'm here to raise awareness about the poor human rights issues in Vietnam and give my father a voice. Early last year, my father, now 70 years old, was in Vietnam on behalf of Viet Thanh, an international organization promoting reform through peaceful and political means. So what happened in the year that followed my father's arrest? After hearing about my father's detention, I learned that he was arrested on suspicions of crimes committing to overthrow the Vietnamese government. We were told by the Australian consulate that he'd be held for a 4-month investigation period. This meant no family visitors, no lawyers, and the only updates we had was an email from the Australian consulate, which came only once a month. My mother was allowed to write nondescript letters, which were handled by prison officials before being passed to my father. The consulate visits were flanked by prison and correctional officers. My father's responses were nondescript and contained little to no information. These letters censored my father's real voice and character, which contrasted greatly to his usual outgoing self. With this in mind, I feared that anything said against the administration would result in further punishments. They had succeeded in silencing him. The 4-month investigation period was extended for a further 8-month period, adding to my father's anxiety caused by his absence. When the trial came around, it was not given any semblance of due process. He was assigned a lawyer and who was allowed a 1-hour session with my father in person prior to the trial. The trial itself was wrapped within 4 hours in a very much predetermined verdict. He was sentenced to 12 years in prison. So what's his situation now? In the monthly consulate emails, his health is raised as part of the correspondence. From what little information I do know, his condition is not great, and the list of illnesses continues to grow. He is held in a cell for 23 hours of the day with 1 hour of exercise permitted. His mental health is deteriorating. We have made family requests for visitation, none of which have been granted. My father turned 70 last year, and so with a 12-year sentence, he'll be 82 when released. Factoring in the prison conditions, it is effectively a death sentence. So why did my father go back to Vietnam in the first place? My father isn't a fool. He would have known of the dangers of going back, but he went anyway. My father came to Australia with nothing but the clothes on his back as a refugee after the Vietnam War. He worked hard all his life to make something for himself and his family in his new adopted home. He grew proud to be Australian, proud of the freedoms we take for granted. I feel as though my father left the land he loved. He left something behind. He knew that the freedoms we have here were the virtues his people lost. I knew he felt for the people of Vietnam, and this is why he felt compelled to advocate and effect change. So what can you do to help? The international community can continue to highlight my father's case to Scott Morrison, the current Australian Prime Minister, and the Australian government. As trading partners of Vietnam, we are accountable for the treatment of its people. I'll be unwavering in my mission to keep my father's voice and story alive, and I hope you may feel compelled to do the same. Thank you.